Hello fellow modelers, Bruce here. I've been trying to plan ahead a little bit on structures I'm going to need on my upper deck slate run railroad, which is going to have some scenes for logging, for coal mining, and oil drilling, because it is set in Pennsylvania during the heyday of the logging and the oil industry. So all of those scenes could benefit from some housing for the workers. So I was thinking of things like a row of bunkhouses similar to a scene that I showed you on Doc Patty's layout a while back. And I'll quickly pause here and insert a picture of Doc Patty's row of little, I'm going to call them bunkhouses. They look like tents almost. Okay, so I want something like that. So and I'm thinking, what do I do to produce 4 or 5 little bunkhouses? I'm going to probably replicate that more than once, but let's try to tackle one at a time. So, scratch building is certainly an option. They are small, simple structures, and it's likely that I will scratch build some bunkhouses for one of the scenes. But I came across a nice bunkhouse that Campbell Scale Models had put out at one time. They were designed to be portable, to be moved from one logging location to another. They were about 1.5 inches by 3 inches in size. The trouble is that they don't show up on the used market very often, and when they do, they tend to be, $25 or so for one. Maybe once in a while I'll see one as low as $15, but I want 5 of these things. So Campbell seemed to be just a little bit out of reach, although I wouldn't mind getting one and then scratch building some additional ones, and I might do that at some point. But anyway, looking on eBay one day, I came up with this kit that I had never seen before. It's by Classic Miniatures, which is a fairly well-known kit manufacturer of old. They were out of Reno, Nevada, and this is their red light district. 5 little bungalows included in the kit, and that's the picture that they showed. So, just 5 little structures, a window and a door in the front. I don't think there's any windows on the sides or the rear. So I said, what the heck? It was $20 including shipping for the 5, and I said, well, for one of the scenes anyway, I'll go with this. I have no intention of putting a red light district on my layout, but I'm going to repurpose these things. So, not really at all being familiar with the kit. I couldn't wait to see what it was really all about. And here you can see the layout of the 5 front walls, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rear walls, and 5 and 5, 10 side walls. Now these are a little bit smaller than the bunkhouse that Campbell had, whereas Campbell's was about 1.5 inches by 3. This one is more like 1.25 inches by 2.25. So yeah, they're a little bit smaller, but I still think that they will do fine. So that's the layout of the walls, and here's your instructions showing you how to assemble one, kind of a blowout of the picture, and a front view and a side view here, parts list and so forth. And what I realized was, and it became obvious when I looked inside, there are cardstock boards for the roof and the floor, so there's 5 of those, and then there are 3 sheets of scribe siding. two of them, the larger two, are board and batten, and one of them is clapboard. Then there's some strip wood and some plastic windows and doors. So what this shows is how to lay out the walls on these different sheets. So there's the clapboard that the front of the building is going to be, and you have to fit, 5 of them, and this is the way they suggest you do it. And draw them on there and then cut them out. And here's one of the clapboards. You can see that it's the size of that drawing, and then another one for over here. So they show you how to lay it out, but I had joked and say, it wasn't a joke, but I had mentioned that I thought I could scratch build some of these little structures, and I went for the kit instead. But this is the closest darn thing to scratch building that you'll ever find in a kit, because all they did was provide you a drawing and then the sheet wood and some strip wood that you need. So yeah, this is kind of a prefab scratch building. So I will be building these, and when I do get around to building it, I'll finish up this video and bring you along for the ride. Okay, talk to you again soon. Okay, it is time to start cutting out all of the walls I need for my bunkhouses. And as you can see, I need 5 of the peak end walls for the front, and that's on clapboard siding. And here I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 identical size as the fronts, but out of the board and batten. No openings have to be cut in. So, thinking about it, I either have to very carefully lay out 10 end walls, measuring each one, getting them perpendicular, etc., identical, or I decided I could just do one on some styrene. This is about 0.03, I guess, thickness. So carefully lay out one, cut it out, and use it as a pattern for all the rest. And that's what I decided to do. You might say, why cut the pattern out of styrene instead of out of wood? Excuse me. But styrene gives you a nice clean edge when you cut it for tracing. So I don't often use the larger X-Acto knife in my modeling. This one happens to have a scalpel blade in it, but I do when I want to etch styrene for cutting it. I use the back edge. It's a lot sturdier than the number 11 blades. Etch it a few times and break it. If you've worked with styrene, you know how easy that is. And line this one up with the back etch 3 or 4 times. And snap it off. And there's my end wall. Don't even have to run a file along it. It's fine the way it is. So I'll use that as the pattern. Lay out my 10 end walls. I'll put a new number 11 blade in my X-Acto and to cut them out once I've laid them out. No sense trying to bugger it with a blade that has some mileage on it. And once I have them all cut out, I will come back and show you what I plan to do to cut the windows and the doors out. As far as the side walls are concerned, because they're just rectangles, I don't feel the need to make a pattern. I can lay those out and just cut them. So yeah, those will be easy. Alrighty, talk to you again soon. Okay, time for an update. Making this pattern out of styrene worked quite well. What I have now is front walls and back walls which match each other. And what I did was, as I got a pair, I held them together, and then if they were off at all, I just used a filing stick and went over them, and so that I have matching pairs. And cut the side walls, and each one packet now is numbered. So this is set number 5, 5, 5, and 5. So I know I'll keep these together because I know the peaked walls match exactly for each of these pairs. So there's all my walls cut, which is the first job, and they did good. The only leftovers was this little piece of board and batten. Everything else got used up. And the next step is to take the front walls, which is clapboard, not board and batten, and cut all the window and door openings. And they give you the dimensions, 2 feet up off the bottom, 4 foot 3 inches high, etc., etc. But I'll do my own measurements and make sure, and mark them out on those 5 front walls, and then do the cutting out. And when I do that, I'll come back and give you an update. Okay, I'm getting ready to cut the window and door openings into the 5 bunkhouses, but I'm doing a test on this leftover piece just to make sure I have the dimensions right before I mess up any of those front walls. I laid out with pencil using the dimensions that I both measured on the back of the windows and doors and what they had spelled out here. I laid it out on the back where it's smooth, so I'm not dealing with the battens on the front or the clapboard on the front. You just have to make sure that when you lay it out on the back, you reverse where the window and the door is, because you want the doors to be on the right from the front, so you put it on the left here, so when you turn it over, it's on the proper side. Yeah, I've done it wrong. But anyway, laid them out in pencil. I drill a hole in the corners with a pin vise, which I've described in a separate video why I do that. It's basically so that when I'm coming across with my knife, the point drops into the hole instead of going too far. And I'll clean these up now, test fit the windows, and if it works, I'll start cutting them into the actual fronts of the buildings. Talk to you later. Okay, another update. I have cut all the openings and done some sanding on them and got all 5 fronts ready to go. So that's probably the tedious part of this little build, but there they are. So next up is painting and staining and bracing. And once I've braced the walls and stained them and painted the windows, then it comes time to assemble, and I'll come back to the video. See you then. Okay, here we are for an update on the 5 bunkhouses, which started life as a Classic Miniatures red light district. Interestingly, when you start reading the instructions, they tell you some other possible uses for these, and one of which was bunkhouses for logging or mining. So here's where we are. We have all these in sets now, front wall, rear wall, 2 side walls, all numbered, so I keep them together. The stain on the wood, on the sidings, is alcohol and Feebling's shoe dye, not shoe polish, leather dye. So kind of looks like, aged natural wood that might have had a stain on it, and painted the windows and doors. So they're all glued in place, and it's time to add the glazing, which was provided in the kit. So I'll cut that glazing and glue it in place, and then probably add some brown shades to the windows. Typically, I always used to use old arithmetic paper when I was a math teacher. It would turn, well, a brownish yellow color with age, and I had a good supply of it. But now I just look for whatever comes in the mail. This envelope looked like it makes some decent shades, so I'll add some shades. Once that's dry, I can assemble the walls together, add my roof beams the way I do on all my builds. I have these supports in here ready to accept them. And, you know, they did provide roofing material. So this is designed to be one roof, and you just kind of scribe along that ridge line and fold it, but it is so thick. It's cardstock, and it's, well, a little bit thicker than 1/32. So I, again, going to what comes in the mail or on food packaging. This is a nice sturdy cardstock that I think I'll use for the subroof. The roofs are small, and I'll have those my roof bracing in there, so I don't think it's going to sag, and it's a lot thinner. So this is, yeah, this is down around 1/64, I guess it is. So yeah, I think that's what I'll use. These are the floors, and the walls sit on the top of it, so that will look like the foundation. I'll color the sides kind of a concrete color. You can see that the porch sticks out in front. Those get covered with some planking, wood planking. And I won't stain that this color. I think I'll stain that with my black alcohol and India ink. And yeah, ready to proceed. Once we get going, they'll all kind of fall into place, and I'll come back, show you what I'm going to do on the roofing. Alrighty, talk to you then. Okay, I am up to the point where the remaining 4 bunkhouses are put together with everything except for the roof. And that's what I'm going to do now, and just show you kind of how I do that. You saw I used a much thinner cardstock, and to prepare it I just went over the edges of each of these roof pieces with a prismatic marker in dark brown, and I colored the bottom of the house dark brown as well, and laid off some parallel lines with a thin Sharpie on the roof, and scored the top of the roof 2 or 3 times with the back of a blade and a hobby knife so that I could bend the roofs. Next, I put on a strip of 3M transfer tape on the bottom of one of these roofs, and I now will peel off the covering and get rid of that, and all that's left on there is the adhesive itself, which I'm not sure you can see because the cardboard itself is shiny. And I want to start by putting a solid piece of roofing material on the very edge, and I cut that out of some craft paper that came as packing in one of my recent orders. 2 companies consistently use this. One is Micromark, and the other one is Trains, Trainz. And so I always have a good supply of that brown craft paper. And now what I'm going to do is just take it and start the very bottom. I made it very thin. because what I am using on here is Campbell shingles. You know that these can be a pain in the neck to use because, first of all, they come on rolls and these rolls tend to unravel. And secondly, because they have been on a roll, I'm going to cut a couple strips off here to use to show you. Because they come on a roll, instead of on a flat laser cut sheet, they tend to have an arc to them. They're bent. So when you try to put them on, you have to straighten that out, or else you're not going to have nice lines. Let me just cut a little bit of this off here. So what I do is take a fairly small brush, dip it in some water over here. I don't know if you can see, I keep a tub of water, big enough so I won't spill it. Get some of that water off, and I'm just going to put water on the bottom of the shingles, the area that's cut out into individual shingles. I don't need it on the top because the 3M transfer tape is going to take care of that. And now, holding on to one end with some tweezers, I start to lay this down on top of the roofing. And once I get it started, then I have to go a little at a time, straightening it out, getting that curve out of there. So the shingle strip is really being held down by the 3M transfer tape, and the water part that I put the water on the glue is there to keep the shingles from lifting up too much. And let me put one more of these on, and you'll start to see. It really is a pain in the neck to get that curve out, I'll tell you. If somebody knows of a better trick on how to do it, I'd be happy to hear it. Laying the next strip down. The parallel lines that I drew on the surface are not meant to be where I actually put the top of this strip of shingles. Rather, it's to help me use my eyes to line these up parallel to each other. And then I go over it with the back of my tweezers to rub it into the 3M tape. And there's the first two rows, and I will just continue working my way up until I have to add more of the 3M tape, which actually I'll do pretty soon now. I'll do one more row, and then add more of the tape. Okay, that's it. I'm going to add the next strip of tape. Just going to work my way up the roof, and I got 4 more of these roofs to do. This one and 3 more. Talk to you soon. Here we are. 5 little structures that were originally marketed as a red light district by the kit manufacturer. Now made up, and I will be using them once they're weathered enough as bunk houses on either a logging camp or a mining camp. So yeah, when you look at a kit, sometimes you want to look beyond what the intended purpose was and see what else you might be able to make out of them. As always, I ask you, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It only takes you a few seconds and really does help out my channel as far as YouTube promoting it. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Talk to you again soon.